Hi everyone, Papa here. And for today's episode, I'm going to be cutting up some trees that fell on our property over the winter. We had a lot of windstorms this winter. We had several small branches come down and these big trees. And really what happened was one fairly large tree came down. You can see its root ball there at the end of this large trunk. And when that one came down, it took several other trees with it. So we have quite a few trees here that need to be cut up and disposed of or otherwise used. Now the good news is these trees came down right at our bonfire pit, which is where we will burn most of it. And then there's our wood pile where we can stock it for fires later in the season. The bad news is it totally destroyed one of the large plank benches that I had built several years ago for sitting down here at the bonfire area. I built two identical plank benches. This one seems to be okay. This one is completely destroyed. So I will have to replace that in the coming days. But the priority right now is getting these trees cut up. Ideally, we'll be able to have a fire later this evening. Right now there's a burn ban in effect in our area. So you can only burn during the hours of 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And right now it's about noon on a bright, sunny spring day. Temperature in the 70s. So it's beautiful out here. And I should be able to have a bonfire tonight, burn quite a bit of this wood after 6 p.m. And I'll use some of the longer, straighter pieces to replace some of the trail border for the trail around our woods. As for safety, I'm dressed from head to toe to stay as safe as possible. I'm wearing sturdy boots, along with some chainsaw chaps, a long sleeve shirt, elbow-length gloves, I have a hat, impact-resistant glasses, and ear protection as well. So let's go ahead and get started. We have a wagon that has all of the equipment I'll need. I've got two chainsaws, fuel and oil for them, a handsaw, and a branch cutter. So let's get the equipment ready to go off to the side here. Now the first thing I'm going to do is put down some starter material and some kindling for a bonfire. That way, as I cut up some of this wood, I can start putting it on and have it ready to go for an evening fire. I like to start with some of the pampas grass from last fall's cuttings. You watch our channel regularly, you'll have seen some videos of me cutting the pampas grass. It burns well as far as starter material. And I'll use some small branches as well. These were the loose branches that I gathered up already from around these trees. That should be enough to get things started. So what I'm going to do is start here at the top of the trees, start cutting them back till I get clear of the bonfire pit, and then we'll go from there. On this end, I should be able to lop off quite a bit of the tops of the trees before I have to pull out any saws. And now I'm going to fast forward the video. So this whole process of taking down the bulk of these tops of the trees should only take a few minutes for your viewing. Enjoy. Well, that's as much as I feel I can easily take off with the loppers. Time to change to another tool. Let's switch to the handsaw. Now I could use the smaller chainsaw here, but I prefer to leave the chainsaws for those tasks that absolutely need the chainsaw. Those chains get dull so quickly that I don't mind putting a little bit of elbow grease into some lopping and some hand sawing. So I can get quite a bit of this done before I have to break out the chainsaws. It only takes a few seconds to get through each of these. So once again, I'm gonna speed up the video. So enjoy as I cut back as far as I can with the handsaw. Well, there you have it. I'm done for now with the handsaw. It's time to move on to the chainsaw. And for these bigger parts, I'll identify if any of it is going to be good for trail border markers. If it is, I'll set it to the side. The rest of it, I'll cut up into small logs, set those to the side as well. We'll see, I may need to let them season for a while. before I burn them, but either way, I'm not going to put them on the bonfire right this minute, though some of this wood may get burned tonight. So let's get the chainsaw out. I have two chainsaws, a smaller one and a bigger one. Neither one of them is huge. Neither one of them is tiny. I'm going to start with the smaller chainsaw, and then when I need to, if I need to, I'll switch to the bigger one. After I do a little bit of chainsawing, I'll speed up the video for you. Until then, I'll keep the volume down a little bit so the chainsaw noise isn't blasting in your ears. So let's go ahead. This chainsaw has been sitting in the garage all winter. Let's see if it starts right up for me. It wants to start. There we go. And there you have it. I've already got everything cut up past the bench line. Now I'll go ahead and stack up the bigger pieces over on our bonfire wood pile before I move on to cutting up the rest of it. Let's start with some of the bigger pieces. Now I really hate that this tree took out the bench, but I really appreciate that I don't have to haul all of this heavy wood from deep in our woods. That happens more often than not, that a tree comes down on our trail or elsewhere in the woods. Sometimes we just cut the branches off and leave it in place. Other times it's in the way, or it's an eyesore, or we need some firewood. But for now, and some of these pieces that naturally landed in the bonfire pit, I'm just gonna put them on the fire and burn them. Who am I to argue with Mother Nature? If she wants to drop some logs right on the bonfire pit, I'll be happy to burn them. So let me go ahead and speed up this portion of the video. Watch and enjoy as I stack all of this wood. Well, there we have it. Everything that I've cut up so far is either in the bonfire pit ready for the next bonfire, or on the bonfire wood pile ready for a future bonfire. Shortly, I'll follow the same process for the parts that are still left on the other side of the benches. What was left of one bench and the other bench. Before I do that, I haven't been able to mow this area yet this year. Gotten the rest of the lawn done with its first mow, but I'm gonna grab the lawn tractor, do a quick mow before I continue on with the tree removal. Well, now that I've taken care of the lawn area, it's time to tackle the tree that's in the woods. Let me move you a little bit closer. Well, this spot should give you a nice view of the rest of the action. As I said, I'm going to follow the same process. I'll use the loppers to take off the smaller branches. Some of the smaller stuff I may still put on top of the bonfire, but most of this I'm just going to pile up off to the side. I'm not even going to put it on the bonfire wood pile. I'll just put it to the side for now. Maybe we'll burn it with this first bonfire. Maybe we'll burn it in a future bonfire. I'm just going to continue on lopping off branches, sawing up some of it, and then I'll use the chainsaw to finish it off. So for most of this, I'm going to speed it up so you can watch in fast motion as I tackle the rest of these trees. Well, that's gonna do it for this task for today. I'm gonna leave the rest of these long, big pieces until I get a chance to assess the trail, determine if I need any of it for trail border. Let me show you what we ended up with. So I got all of those down trees cleared off the lawn area. Got the lawn in that area mowed. Got a lot of the wood on the bonfire pit, ready for a bonfire. Have this intact bench seat with the broken one on top of it. I'll replace that broken one in the coming days. Got a pile of smaller sticks and branches ready to go for a future fire. More of the branches, some of the ones with leaves, and all of the branches that I picked up in the past week that were throughout the yard that came off the top of that tree were those trees. And a lot of the wood I cut up from all of those trees is here. I already had a lot of wood on the bonfire wood pile getting seasoned. You see one on top there from today, and a bunch more down here, some smaller ones down here. And you can tell which ones are fresh from today on top of the seasoned wood from previous years. Then coming around to see what we're dealing with here on the other side of the benches. Cleared off all of the trees that were on this wagon wheel and running across there, got all of that cleaned up. This wagon wheel was leaning against this intact tree. Maybe we'll get this tree stood back up, put the wagon wheel where it was, and just leave the long stump. I'll determine that later. And I have several long pieces here that I can use as is or cut into smaller lengths for trail marker. Same goes for this biggest one. This was the offender. This was the offender. This was the tree that started it all. You can see it's pretty big. Not huge compared to some of the other trees we have in our woods, but it was tall, thick and dense. Here's another one. So it took out this tree, it took out that tree, several other smaller trees. So it took out quite a few. A few pieces there. I'll grab those in a minute. Then coming around to the back end of this, it was a healthy tree. We had some strong winds this winter. This tree just couldn't withstand it. Just took it out, flipped it over like it was a domino. So I'll need to get all of these roots cut off it, get those burned. Maybe I'll leave a stump, move it back up into place, use the rest of it for something else. Time will tell. But that's all of the work for today. Well, it took a lot of work, but I got all of the trees cleaned up. I got this one stood back up with the wagon wheel leaning against it. And this one cut off. I'm leaving this one in place. And I got it cleaned up at the end. And this one stood back up as well. And then looking at it from the other direction, so this one, you can see I left some of the big roots here. Just adds a nice touch for this part of the woods. When we're out here playing, we're out here enjoying a bonfire. So even though it was quite a mess after the winter, Everything is looking nice now. Everything is cleaned up. Everything is usable again. And just as importantly, I got a new bench all cleaned up, sanded, with quite a few coats of polyurethane on it. So we now have 2 functional benches at our bonfire pit area, along with this bench seat, which actually converts into a picnic table for any use we want to get out of it to eat or play games. And for the bench that the tree destroyed, I was able to salvage several good pieces of it, and I built this portable 2-person bench that we can put wherever we want to around the bonfire. Have a bonfire prepped, ready to go for when it's a nice, pleasant evening. And so everything is back in shape out here. And with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. Thanks as always for supporting us. Please subscribe to our channel and like our videos. Goodbye, everyone.